لشعب الرب في كل مكان سلام سلام، لشعب الرب في كل مكان، وحتى انتهت رجلينا ده روحك فينا وحوالينا، بيرد نفوسنا ويدينا ويملأ قلوبنا سلام، وحتى انتهت رجلينا ده روحك فينا وحوالينا، رد نفوسنا ويهدينا ويملأ قلوبنا سلام سلام سلام، لشعب الرب في كل مكان سلام سلام، لشعب الرب في كل مكان سلام الله سبته لينا، مش زي العالم تدينا، ومادام روحك عايش فينا شعبك دايما في سلام، سلام الله سبته لينا، مش زي العالم تدينا، ومادام روحك عايش فينا شعبك دايما في سلام سلام سلام، لشعب الرب في كل مكان سلام سلام، لشعب الرب في كل مكان.
ترنيمة تاني فجهزيها. طيب يلا نصلي مع بعض. بسم الآب والابن والروح القدس الإله الواحد آمين. يا رب يسوع المسيح، بنشكرك يا رب على عنايتك بينا، بنشكرك يا رب على سنة قبطية جديدة، نشكرك يا رب على كل البدايات الجديدة، نشكرك يا رب على عنايتك بينا طول الوقت، نشكرك يا رب على حمايتك يا رب. بارك حياتنا وبارك أبديتنا، بارك يا رب في كل أولادنا، بارك في كل شعبك يا رب. خلي النهاردة تكون المحاضرة مثمرة، وخلينا نتعلم منها يا رب إزاي نسند أولادنا في الأوقات الصعبة. ساعدنا يا رب وأعنا وكون دايما معانا، واقبل يا رب صلاتنا بشفاعة أم النور الطاهرة العذراء مريم، واسمعنا يا رب لما نقولك بكل الشكر: أبانا الذي في السماوات يتقدس اسمك، ليأتي ملكوتك، لتكن مشيئتك كما في السماء كذلك على الأرض. خبزنا كفافنا أعطينا اليوم، واغفر لنا ذنوبنا كما نغفر نحن أيضا للمذنبين إلينا، ولا تدخلنا في تجربة لكن نجينا من الشرير، بالمسيح يسوع ربنا، لأن لك الملك والقوة والمجد إلى الأبد آمين. تفضلوا استريحوا.
حد عارف الترنيمة دي؟ بتاعت مدارس الأحد، وفى ديوني. مين عارفها؟ مش حد عارفها؟ ميري عارفاها أكيد. عارفاها؟ ميري هتقول معايا. سهلة بالظبط، هي دي. تعالي قوليها معايا. تعالي. ماشي ماشي، يلا نحاول نقولها مع بعض. هي سهلة، هي من غير موسيقى. ما دورت على موسيقى، ما لقيتلهاش موسيقى. بعد ما كنت عبد أجير وكانت خطاياي كتير، ده يسوع شالها على الصليب خلاني أمير. بعد ما كنت عبد أجير وكانت خطاياي كتير، ده يسوع شالها على الصليب خلاني أمير. وفى ديوني وفى ديوني وفى ديوني يسوع، وفى ديوني وفى ديوني وفى ديوني يسوع. بعد الحزن بقيت فرحان واتمتع بالغفران، بقى ليا مكان وعايش في امان. بعد الحزن بقيت فرحان واتمتع بالغفران، وبقالي في السما مكان وعايش في امان. وفى ديوني وفى ديوني وفى ديوني يسوع، وفى ديوني وفى ديوني وفى ديوني يسوع. مين اللي قال وفى ديوني؟ في حد في الكتاب المقدس؟ مين؟ طب اسهلها لكم. بولس الرسول بعت رسالة لحد وبيقوله إذا كان ظلمك بحاجة أنا هوفي، أنا ببولس بيدي أنا هوفي. مين؟ لسه كنا بندرسها في ليمون، صح كده؟ لما بعت له رسالة وكان أنسيموس العبد بتاعه سرقه، وقال له إيه؟ قال له لو كان ظلمك بشيء أو سرق منك شيء أو خد منك شيء، أنا ببولس أنا أوفي. بولس الحقيقي الرب يسوع هو اللي بيوفي كل الدين، وهو اللي يسدد كل الأمور على الصليب، هو اللي سدد كل الخطايا وفرع الصليب.
طيب كل سنة وانتم طيبين. زي ما انتم عارفين احنا ابتدينا سنة قبطية جديدة، والشعار بتاعنا السنة دي كن أمينا إلى الموت فسأعطيك إكليل الحياة، وكنا حفظناه كلحن وقلنا ان احنا كل مرة هنقوله مع بعض، فاحنا هنصليه دلوقتي مع بعض الشعار عشان نفضل حافظينه ونعيش بيه. بس عايزة اقول لكم على حاجة مش عارفة هتاخدوا بالكم منها. شايفين دي ايه؟ ده جذع شجرة وطالع منه فرع وبعدين طالع منه ورقة. انتوا هتشوفوا دي كل مرة قبل ما يبقى عندنا محاضرة. ايه هي بقى؟ جذع الشجرة هي الشعار اللي احنا هنعيش بيه السنة، اللي هو كن أمينا إلى الموت فسأعطيك إكليل الحياة. وهيبقى عندنا 4 فروع رئيسيين على 4 كورتر خلال السنة. كل كورتر ليه سب شعار، يعني هيطلع من الشعار الأصلي بتاعنا شعار تاني هنعيش بيه الكورتر دوت من السنة. وكل فرع هيطلع منه ورقة شجر، ورقة شجر اللي هي هتبقى المحاضرة اللي موجودة النهاردة. على آخر السنة المفروض الشجرة دي تبقى مليانة ورق وتبقى مليانة ال4 فروع رئيسيين ونبقى عشنا بيها طول السنة. فدي أول محاضرة النهاردة في السنة الجديدة، كيف تسند أولادك وقت الصعوبات. ودي من تحت سلسلة إيه لو تفتكروا؟ سلسلة إيه؟ سلسلة الكارما وغروس الزيتون اللي احنا ابتديناها السنة اللي فاتت، مهتمة بأمور الأسرة وتربية الأولاد. خلينا نحاول نرنم الشعار مع بعض وبعد كده نبتدي المحاضرة على طول. فاكرين الشعار؟ تعالوا نرنمه مع بعض. كن أمينا كن أمينا كن أمينا كن أمينا إلى الموت كن أمينا إلى الموت فسأعطيك إكليل الحياة. كن أمينا إلى الموت فسأعطيك إكليل الحياة. كن أمينا كن أمينا فسأعطيك الحياة. سهل سهل. طيب هنحفظه تدريجيا مع الوقت. طيب النهارده يوم مميز وخاص بالنسبة لنا لأنه معانا دكتورة نيفين سليمان النهارده، وانتوا عارفين دكتورة نيفين بالخلفية اللي فيها سايكايتري، بالاكسبيرينس اللي عندها، بكتير قوي من تنوع الموضوعات اللي بتحضرها، بتساعدنا كتير اننا ازاي نتعامل مع اولادنا، ازاي نقدر نربيهم بطريقة علميا مظبوطة ومسيحيا كمان عميقة ومظبوطة. النهارده الموضوع هتكلمنا فيه ازاي نسند اولادنا في وقت الصعوبات، وقت صعب بالنسبه لهم هم بيمروا بيه، وبرضو احنا كمان لو عندنا صعوبات احنا ازاي نفضل نسند اولادنا من غير ما يقعوا مننا. دكتوره نيفين، احنا بجد فرحانين ان انت موجوده معانا النهارده، اتفضلي.
Hi, thank you for mercy على محبتكم and you always welcome me and you're always just such a wonderful group, so thank you so much. So هنتكلم النهارده عن ازاي لما عيالنا يقولوا حاجات very painful، يقولوا لنا حاجات but I call it painful truths، فحاجات like it's true right، إذا كانوا هم بيواجهونا بحاجة أو بيعترفوا بحاجة very painful في حياتهم هم. Both of those things are painful truths. لما هم بيجوا يحكوا لنا how do we respond؟ And I want you to pay attention to the difference. الفرق بين مش إزاي نحل بس إزاي نرد. How do we respond? That's what we're going to focus on, not solving. How do we respond to them? Okay? So معرفش لحد عايز يقرأ الآية بالعربي، هي John 16:33. أنا هقولها بالإنجليزي وعايز يقراها بالعربي. That would be great. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world.
في العالم سيكون لكم ضيق ولكن ثقوا أنا قد غلبت العالم.
So الcheer الحتة دي بالعربي اللي هي إيه؟ الثقة. Like بس أنتي لما قلتيها what was the word for be of good cheer? It's trust, huh? It's different. Yeah. لما بنقرا الآية ديت like ربنا بيأكد لنا هيكون في tribulations. This life is not meant to be smooth or easy. هيكون في tribulations. We are the struggling church. Right, Hannah, we are the struggling church. The saints and all that have come before us, they're the victorious church. But we're the struggling church. We're going to be struggling. And that means that our children are going to be struggling too. But we have to keep that in mind. بس الحتة ديت ال be of good cheer. You said, so بالعربي it's ثقة. That's like trust. صح؟ إحنا بنسمع cheer. ساعات بنفتكر إن that means إن like be happy. معلش هيكون في مشاكل بس اضحكوا. No, that's not what it's saying. It's different. Actually, when you look up cheer, the definition بتاعتها give comfort or support to. So I want us to keep this in mind when we think about how our children, we're telling them in the world you will have tribulation, right? And then our job to give comfort or support to. That's going to be ده هيكون الجول بتاعنا. Right? To give comfort or support to. We're not trying to erase the tribulations from their life. We're not trying to solve it for them. Right? Just like in their homework, you don't solve the problems for them. They do it. But your job is to comfort and support them, not eliminate it. So this is the definition I want us to keep in mind when we think about the painful things that that they may say to us. تاني حاجة إن إحنا لازم الجول الaim بتاعنا يبقى to correct, not criticize. Right? We're helping to guide them, to correct them, not to criticize them, not to put them down. And that's easy to say, but it's really hard to do, especially in the moment when you're hearing and seeing that painful thing happen. So we're going to talk about how to do that. So الفرق بين الcorrection والcriticism is الcorrection, it's a change, it fixes, it helps to fix a mistake. But the criticism just expresses disapproval and judgment. And it's your opinion. Right? So it's judgment and it's disapproval. Those things don't help. They don't create change. They create shame and they create guilt, but they don't create change. ده مش بيساعدهم ان هم يتغيروا، بس بيخليهم ان هم يحسوا بالذنب و and they feel badly about themselves. So our goal has to be correction, not criticism. Okay, so دي أول حاجة. The next thing that I want you to remember إن في حاجة اسمها negativity bias. Negativity bias دوت it's a trap, it's something like مخنا كلنا مخنا بيشتغل كده. It comes from like من زمان, our brains were created to be aware of the dangerous signals. إيه الحاجات threats اللي قدامنا to keep us alive and to keep us safe. فمخنا على طول لما بنخش أوضة بنشوف إيه الغلط فيها. Right? أول ما بتخش بتشوف because it comes from when you walk into the forest هتشوف في bear, في lion, في حاجة attack us. Right? فأول لما بنخش the first thing we see about a person كل العيوب اللي في الأوضة اللي بيغلط بيعمل إيه. Our brain is wired to notice this first. Okay? It's called the negativity bias. So when we see our children, when we see our spouses, right? We pay so much attention to العيوب بتاعتهم and their weaknesses and their flaws and all the things they do wrong. That's what we pay attention to the most because it comes faster. So we have to make sure that we pay attention, right? Not just let our brain be automatic, but we put in the effort to pay attention to what are the strengths, right? They have good qualities. They all have good qualities. They all have beautiful, wonderful things about them. But you have to find them. You have to search for them, right? Like you have to dig through and find those treasures that are inside of them. And then you have to pull it out and help them see all of their strengths. To say, you're really good at that. And if you have a child with low self-esteem, they're going to say, no, I'm not. And sometimes they'll give you the painful truth and they'll say, you always tell me the opposite. So you might say, you're a really hard worker. I see that in you, right? Because maybe you do. You see how hard they work. When you see them doing something, they work really hard. And so one time you decide to say, you're a really hard worker. And they're going to say, no, I'm not. And you say, no, you really, really are. They're going to say, but you always tell me I'm lazy. But you always tell me how bad I am, how I don't work hard enough at my homework or work hard enough when I have a hard thing. That's a painful truth that we have to be willing to hear, right? لازم يكون عندنا enough humility, right? And to hear these words. عشان نواجه نفسنا برضو. Because they say these things. And instead of saying, no, أنت قليل الأدب, ما تقولش كده, we have to be willing to hear it. We'll get to that later. Okay. So this happened to me a few weeks ago, right? My son reminded me after I corrected his behavior. He came back later and he said, you only notice the bad things I do, right? You only hear when I do these, when I'm hurting my sister. You don't hear You don't hear me when I play with her nicely. You don't hear me when I say nice things to her. You don't hear me when I comfort her. That was my negativity bias, right? Because yeah, when he's doing the right thing, I'm taking care of other stuff. It's when things go bad that we stop what we're doing and we go correct it. And so in his mind, it was, you only see my bad, you never see my good. And a lot of times, children feel this way. Okay. So we also have to remember that they have that negativity bias too. If we are saying criticisms to them, if we're always correcting them, it's really hard for them to remember the good things about themselves. So then they forget, right? They forget all of what anything good might be for themselves. So we also have to keep in mind that they suffer from that negativity bias, and they will pay more attention to the negative things that we do too, right? They're going to remember the one time you broke a promise, and they're going to totally forget about the 20 times you kept it, because they have the negativity bias wired in their brains too. So we have to help them, and we have to also focus on how do we see the strengths? How do we see when the good things happen? Okay, so what are some of these painful truths that they might be admitting to you? And you're welcome to share, if there are painful truths that you've heard too, maybe some that I miss. Some of them can be really simple, right? Like, I failed an exam. I am getting an F in this class. They can also be things like, I hate you. You're stupid. You don't know anything. Or, I want to kill myself. I wish I were dead. Right? Some children will struggle with really negative, hurtful, upsetting, depressing thoughts. And it will reach that. And you have to know how to respond, how to be prepared for if that does happen. Instead of blinding yourself and thinking, no, never mind. Anyone. It could happen to anyone. Or it could be discovering or finding out that they have been using drugs, or they've been smoking, or whatever activity it might be. They could be saying, you're weak. Right? If they're coming to you and saying in anger, you're so weak. Or they might say, I know you hate me. Right? First there's, I hate you, and then there's, I know you hate me. Or, in really, really angry times, they might even find themselves cursing at you. You are blank, whatever blank might be. Okay, so these are all sentences that are so painful to hear your children say, especially when they direct it towards you, right? لما الكلام بيكون بيواجهوه ليكوا، صح؟ So, زي ما قلت في الأول, this is not about solutions. There's no magical solution that solves all of these problems, all of these statements. But we have to know how to support and give comfort to, which is hard to do when we're hurt too, right? So they're hurt, they said something hurtful, now I'm hurt. That's like a recipe for haria, right? There's this disaster. So I have to be able to care for my own pain so that I can comfort them in their pain. Okay. So when you hear these statements, the very first thing you have to do is take a deep breath. A really, really long, deep breath. It can never be words. And in that breath you take, make a silent prayer. My Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. That is what you need in that moment, right? We need God's mercy with those kinds of statements, because anything we say is going to go in the wrong direction if we act out of our own impulses and emotions. So that's the first thing. If they're going to have a longer conversation, like if this is a هنقعد بقى وهنتكلم like هنطول فيها, you need more than just a deep breath. You might need to ask for a few minutes and say, okay, thank you for telling me. Can you give me 5 minutes? I'll be right back. That's it. And you go upstairs in your own bedroom by yourself. We don't need to make a huge announcement. Okay, I need to go pray about this. Wait, I'll be back in 5 minutes. No, just say, oh, okay, thank you. Okay, can you just give me 5 minutes to just kind of gather my thoughts and prepare for us to sit down and talk about this? And you go upstairs and you say a prayer. Pray Psalm 50, pray the Thanksgiving prayer in the time of pain, and it will have a huge impact. Just take 3-4 minutes. Come right back down. And you will enter that conversation ready to bear your child's pain. Because we do not have the strength to bear all of their pain by ourselves if we don't have God's support with us. Okay. So don't make it a big deal. Don't make a big show. Because, right, we try sometimes, ساعات احنا بنحس ان like لازم نعلمهم كل لحظة. بأي حاجة نعملها لازم فيها حاجة تعليمة. Oh, okay, this is hard, بس أعلمها إن like هنصلي الأول. No. Just go do it. This is not time to teach. This is just time to listen. Teach later. Right now, listen. Okay, this lets you enter that conversation with humility. Right? Instead of your own shame, instead of your own guilt, instead of your own pride. And it lets you not be defensive. So being defensive, حد يقول لي what's defensive? Yeah, الرد الدفاعي ده, that's like the worst way to respond when your child is in this pain and says something. All that's going to do, it's going to shut down the conversation. And you might get the answer you think you want, right? Which is, okay, حاضر ماما. You got nothing. That's nothing. Because you really want to understand what's going on. You don't want them to just quiet you, right? That's them treating you like a child. Okay, حبيبي, خلاص, معلش. You don't want that kind of answer. You want an actual conversation to understand them. The other difference, when you're able to take a few minutes, come back with humility, after you have submitted yourself to God, to be able to come back, the difference is going to be instead of anger, there will be sorrow. What's the difference between the two? So anger is defensive, but sorrow is when you're grieving for them. You're in pain with them. You're grieving with them. And that's much different. That's what you get from a close friend who will sit beside you in your pain. And that comfort, right? We'll go back to that first definition of with cheer, right? Be of good cheer, to give comfort or support to. That's what you want to do. Okay. The next step after that is you have to remember to connect before you correct. So this is something that I talked about the last time I was here. We spent a lot of time talking about how important it is to connect first before you correct. And that's what you want to make sure that you focus on. So that's something that if you ever read the book, Parenting Towards the Kingdom, that's something that Dr. Philip Mamalakis says a lot. Connect before you correct. The last thing before entering into that is to not act out of fear, right? Don't enter these conversations like خايفين, because like مخنا بيروح لقدام. If this is happening, then ده طب ولو كذا ولو كذا ولو كذا كل الحاجات دي هتحصل. No. Then we're going to act out of fear. Don't come from a place of fear. Come from a place of strength. Because your child is coming and sharing something painful. And if you don't show that strength, how can they lean on you for support if you're going to fall down too? They need strength. Yes.
هسأل بالعربي وبالإنجليش. طب ماذا لو أنت عارفة إن هم عندهم حق في الكلام اللي بيقولوه؟ إزاي تيجي من موقع strength وأنت عارفة إن هم عندهم حق؟ حد زي الأم اللي أنا قلت لك عليها اللي ابنها بيقول لها because of you أنا عندي المشكلة الفلانية وهي عارفة إن هو عنده حق. how can she be at strength فتتكلم بقوة من غير ما تبقى زي ما أنت بتقولي كده.
So strength can come with humility. And it's actually wonderful to be able to إن الواحد يحس إن هم عندهم حق في اللي بيقولوه. That's humility. They need to see that. Because they need honesty. Strength doesn't have to mean power. Strength actually it's strength and humility. And what I mean by strength there is I'm strong enough to hear what you have to say to me. I'm not going to fall apart. Because some kids are so afraid to tell their parents how they really feel, right? They'll say to me, they'll say, oh, I can't tell. Well, why don't you tell them that you need this to change? Oh, I can't tell them that. My mom will cry for days. She'll be so hurt by this, it will break her. That's what I hear. It will break him. My dad will be so hurt by that. He'll be so upset. It will break him. No. We have to show them that we're strong enough to hear what they have to say. We can take it. And what they're saying is right, and I need to hear it, and now we can work together to solve that problem. Okay?
إذا أنا سمعت ابني وأنا عندي الأنسر ليه بس هو مش متقبل أي كلام، يعني أنا عايزة أديله النصيحة. أنا أوريدي امتصيت كل غضبه وسمعته ولسن وكل حاجة وهو مش عايز يسمع، مفيش communication معاه.
ساعات لو بيعملوا واجب وواجب صعب، اوكي؟ وعمالين نقول لهم الانسر. The answer is 25. انت مش فاهم؟ الانسر is 25 اهو بص انا حليتها اهو 25. ليه انت مش فاهم حليتي ازاي، وصلتي للانسر ازاي. So we can't force the solution. We can't force the answer. They have to come to a place of understanding, and sometimes it takes some people a lot longer to understand than others. They have to keep getting it wrong and getting it wrong and getting it wrong until they're able to get it right. So again, I want us to keep in mind that we're not focusing on the solutions, right? I don't have a magic answer. I don't have like this thing that's going to solve all of these problems. But we just have a process that's going to help move towards healing instead of a process that's going to cause more pain. That's what we're talking about today. So if they say, I hate you, okay, I want to translate some of those statements, okay? So I hate you might just mean I'm really angry with you. I think you're being unreasonable. It could be just because you said, you can't go to your friend's house, or I'm taking your phone away, or you have to come with us to this birthday party. And they're really angry, and so they just say, I hate you, after you guys have argued. They could just mean, I'm really angry, and I think your decision is unreasonable. I disagree with what you're deciding. And that's okay. It doesn't mean it's okay for them to talk like that, right? So I can hear what you're saying, and I can understand. That doesn't mean I have to tolerate it. So that's an important piece there. Because first, you have to put a limit on the disrespect, right? Try to understand, what are you really trying to say? We're going to connect first. You hate me, why? What's going on? Because and they'll open up and share. After that, we can have a moment where we correct. Thank you for telling me how angry it makes you that Thank you for telling me that I frustrated you, or that you disagree with me. But it's not okay to talk to me like that. So you may not say that, but what you can say is that you're frustrated by my decision, is that you don't agree with what I think, is that you hate that you have to go to the party, which is different than you hate me. And so we have to give them some of that language sometimes when they're quick to say this. Sometimes they say it because they know it gets your attention. If when they say, I hate you, you start to cry and they finally get the soft side of you, that's the only time, like other than that, like anashfin, but that gets our softness, they're going to do it again. Because they finally got what they wanted. All I wanted was a hug. All I wanted was to see that you're not a robot, that you have emotions. And so they'll do it. Okay. When they say, you're stupid, you don't know anything, a lot of times that actually means I feel so alone. If they're saying you don't understand and you're stupid, it means I hadش فهمني, right? I'm so alone. No one is able to help. I wish you could help me. That's the other one, right? If I'm actually saying you're so stupid, what I really mean to say is, I wish you could help me. Like, I wish you understood enough to help me. That's what they're really looking for. But if we get distracted by that mean statement, if we're so hurt and if it shifts our focus and we respond back with, you're so disrespectful and you're so ungrateful and you're so unkind and you're going to your room, well, I didn't hear any of their pain. I didn't hear what they want help with. I didn't hear about how lonely they feel. I didn't get to hear about what they want help with. Maybe I can't help them, but maybe I can get them somebody who can. Maybe I don't understand math, but I can get them somebody who does. Maybe I don't know how to help them make friends, but I know somebody who does. I can connect to them. But you lose that chance when you respond with defensiveness or anger and you shut it down. What? You can't talk to me like that. End of conversation. You don't really get to comfort and be in that pain with them. Okay. What about the very serious, I want to kill myself, or I wish I were dead? This is a really heavy one, right? It's very painful to hear as a parent, to hear your child say that they want to end their life. And so you have to take it seriously. Not to ignore it, not to dismiss it, not saying, بلاش كلام الفاضي ده. It's not كلام فاضي بالنسبة لهم. And some kids say it over and over again, and you start to think, the one I get from parents a lot is, she's just wanting attention. Okay, she must want attention really, really, really bad because it's making her think of ending her life. We have to take that seriously because that's a cry for help. They're screaming in pain and they can't find any other words to explain it. So again, you either need to give them the words to explain what they're really trying to say for a child who's saying it over and over and over again and figure out what the need is underneath that statement. What do they really need? So the first thing you do with a sentence like that, when your child says that, is you reflect to them, I had no idea you were in so much pain. If you're so caught off guard, the one thing you want to get from that sentence is they're in pain. And so you just let them know that. I see your pain. I didn't know you were in that much pain. Or I have seen you in so much pain. And I want to support you. I can't fix it. That's not what we're saying. Let me fix this for you, but it's let me be in that pain with you. Let's do this together.
Do you think it's going to help?
What's
Just
gonna
to
help?
be with the child in the pain, but I cannot fix it or I cannot find a solution for them.
Yes.
Is it going to help?
Yes.
How? Like, I have a situation in front of me and I want to like find a solution for it. خليني أتكلم بالعربي. طيب أنا عندي مثلا أم عندها بنت يعني في رابعة 5 ابتدائي. البنت بدأت تدرك فاهمة كل حاجة. الأب حاجة كده يعني صعبة جدا، اللي هو يعني nothing can work with him to fix what he is doing, like cursing a lot, like شتيمة صعبة، إهانة، عصبية، حاجة كده مستحيلة يعني إن أي child ممكن يديل with that situations with that dad. الأم عارفة البنت نفسيتها متدمرة، crying all time، هي بتحاول إن هي تقربها من ربنا بس مش عارفة تحل السيتويشن، البنت بتتدمر. في الوضع ده أنا جنب بنتي بس مش عارفة أحل المشكلة اللي بتدمرها، الحل إزاي؟
So الأول حتة, yes, it makes a big difference to know that you're not alone in the pain. Right? عشان لما اللي جنبينا بيصغر في الموضوع ده actually بيجرحنا أكتر. نقول معلش فوتي ولا يهمك. Right? No, then you're not paying attention to how much pain I'm in. But we want to let them know, no, this is so painful. I understand, or I see that it's painful. Maybe it's painful for me too. Right? It's painful for both of us. In terms of تتحل ازاي, that's a bigger situation. Right? عشان it's not a quick, الحل مش it's not that easy. And so maybe it's teaching them kind of how we bear the pain of others, how we bear in suffering. Yeah, this is suffering. This is suffering. Where can we get strength? If we can't fix this, where do we get our strength from?
هي ممكن تاخد بنتها دي تجري بيها على طول على ربنا، تقول له، تبقى سبورت لبنتها وتقول لربنا احنا مش عارفين نعمل ايه، انت اديتني هدية حلوة، وتشكر في بنتها قدام ربنا لانها جفت منك وهدية منك. ده هيرد الثقة لبنتها تاني، وفي نفس الوقت تطلب من بنتها تصلي لباباها عشان يجيبوا لربنا. يعني لازم ربنا يتحط في الموضوع علشان تنقذ بنتها وتنقذ جوزها.
A beautiful answer. Yeah. I want to go back to kind of the child who's saying something like, I want to kill myself. We also have to not be forceful, right? Because we want to know what's going on, and we can't force our way in. ليه؟ قوليلي، احكيلي، في ايه؟ It's not going to get you a very good response. But sometimes it comes from our desperation and our fear, right? And it's gonna scare. Uh-oh, mom or dad is going this way. I gotta go this way. And so we're like, and it's no big deal. It's nothing, right? Or they'll just haisuduku. So we have to be able to respond, not react. And we just have to let them know, I care and I'm ready to listen. You can ask questions, right? Don't be afraid of this one. A lot of people will be really afraid and I don't want to ask questions because I don't want them to think about it more. No, you can ask questions, but like gentle questions. You can ask, tell me what kinds of thoughts you have. What else have you been thinking about? What's made you feel this way? Instead of shutting it down and kind of saying, don't think like that. You have this good thing and this good thing and this good thing and this good thing. You shouldn't feel that way. But they do. So telling them they shouldn't feel that way isn't going to make it go away. Don't assume that you know how to make it better. Okay, that's the other thing, is we want to go in and fix. And so our response is always to say, okay, I know what's going to help you feel better. We're going to do this, and we're going to stop doing this thing, and we're going to start doing this other thing, and I'm going to get you, we're going to go for walks together, and that's going to improve your mood, and then we're going to stop hanging out with this person because they're bringing you down, and then we're going to put you in this other place because that's going to help you. That's saying, I know the answer, and I'm going to fix it. but you don't know the answer. But we can figure it out together. We can talk, right? You involve your any other support that you have, whether that's, a grandparent or a spouse or whoever, or with single parents if there are close friends, to get some support and then to be willing to hear, what do they need? Instead of assuming that I know the answer, I have to be willing to ask, what do you need? What can I do to help? Instead of forcing that help, what can I do to help? And they might say nothing. You say, okay, that's okay for now. Maybe take some time and think about it. If you come up with something, let me know how I can help, and you can check in later. Did you think of anything? Because I really want to be sure I can help. What can I do? Okay. One, like, I've been using drugs. They're saying I'm in pain. It could be saying I'm suffering and I'm trying to numb that pain. Or it could be saying I'm afraid of what will happen if I don't fit in, if I don't do this, if everyone around me is doing something and I'm not. And this one is hard because, again, we're kind of wired to do what everyone around us is doing. So they've done like a research experiment, right? People walk into it. They have 6 people standing inside of an elevator, and the door is here, right? Everybody does this, right? We walk into the elevator, and then you turn around and you face the door. So what they did was they did an experiment. They had 6 people standing in the elevator, and they're all facing this direction. All 6 of them come in this way. And then they have someone that doesn't know what's going on. The experiment's being done on this person. The person walks in the elevator door, and they look at everybody standing the wrong way, and they stand the wrong way with them. Over and over and over again, they repeated this, and they found the person who walks in, if they see everybody facing the wrong direction, they're going to face the wrong direction too. It's just something we naturally do, even when we know the answer is wrong. They did another one where they had people sitting at a table, right, and they asked them which line is longer, and the lines are, visible. It's obvious which line is the longest, and they put 3 people before them who are like part of the experiment, and they say the wrong answer on purpose, and they get to the person who they're really testing, and the person's like, what? Okay, so they say the wrong answer too, even though it's very obvious what the right answer is. It's just the social pressure that happens. And this is with adults. So if that happens with adults, imagine what happens with kids. So we have to at least be able to understand how difficult it is to walk into an elevator, see everybody standing this way, and decide to stand this way. It's not an easy thing. So our job is to stay calm when we find the thing in their backpack, when we find the thing in their room, when we smell it on their clothes, when we hear it from their friends or their friend's mom or from the school or wherever it's coming from, is to be calm. Because if we come in hot, right, if we come in angry, if we come in on fire, they're either just going to pour water on you by saying whatever, yeah, sure, Mom, I'll stop. Yeah, Dad, I'm not doing it again. No, I'm holding it for a friend. They're going to do whatever they can to put the fire out. They're going to act like it's no big deal, or they're going to shut down and say, I don't care what you say, I'm doing whatever I want to do. And so we have to be able to stay calm and be willing to understand, tell me how this started. Okay, tell me what is appealing about it, right? Instead of being like, il araf da. No, how about just kind of saying, okay, tell me what you like about it. Because what you really want to do is just understand what's going on. What's drawing you? And then from there you decide what kind of help do they need. And they may say, I don't want any help. I like this. I'm perfectly happy. And that takes time. Again, this isn't a solution, but it is how we start the process so we don't shut it down from the beginning. You want to keep the door open so that you can keep helping them, keep at least offering the help so they don't shut you out. These are things you can do to help not increase their pain, not drive them further into whatever their pain is, but at least let them know that you're in sorrow, you can grieve with them in this pain. Okay, the last thing I'm going to do very quickly is when they start to say, I know you hate me, or when they're talking negatively about you, you're weak, or you don't understand. We have to be able to pay attention to how are you talking to them? Are your words filled with criticism? Do you joke around a lot? So a lot of parents will actually say a very mean thing, right? أصل أنت حمار. We just say that. It's like just a thing. No big deal. But, and then when they say it back, we're shocked. They hear our language. It's what we model. And we have to be willing to accept that sometimes our criticisms, and sometimes we'll say we're joking. They'll say they're upset. أنا كنت بهزر. Maybe a little bit, kind of بنهزر, but some of it was true. So we don't get to be selective about about what's joking and what's serious, because that's not a reasonable expectation to have of them. Also, we have to pay attention to what are we thinking, because sometimes when they feel like, I know you hate me, that sentence could mean I hate myself. It could mean I don't feel your love towards me, or it could mean I can tell you really don't like me. You don't like being around me. And we have to acknowledge the truth of that, because sometimes it's true. Sometimes we don't enjoy being around our children in a certain way that they're doing things. And that's when we have to realize we're falling into the negativity bias. We need to find their strengths instead. And we have to figure out what's happening in us that's making us not really like being around them, because that's not okay. And children have a very wacky sense of connection with us. They know it. If you don't like them, like مش طايقينهم, they can feel it. Even if you're trying to act as calm and nice as you are, they can feel it. And they'll point it out. And they'll say, I know you don't like me. And we'll say, that's not true. I would never say that to you. You're right. You might not say it to them, but sometimes you feel it. And we have to work on that so that we don't put that onto them. Yeah.
طفل 5 سنين وطفل 10 سنين. كل اللي انا بعمله ان انا بديهم تعليمات قاعدين في البيت ما بنعملش اي حاجه غير ان احنا نديهم تعليمات ازاي يصحوا ازاي يناموا ازاي ياخدوا شاور ازاي يذاكروا ازاي. هل ده هيأثر عليهم قدام شويه في ان هم يجوا يحكوا لنا المشاكل، ولا خلاص هو كده الموضوع انتهى؟ لانه ساعات انا بكلم بنتي في حاجه تقول لي لا ما انت هتعاقبني. يا بنتي انا اصلا عمري ما مديت ايدي عليكي، يعني انت جبتي الكلام ده منين؟ فالحقيقه من كتر التعليمات اللي احنا عاملينها عشان هم اطفال، مش عارف هل ده يعني قدام شويه هيخليهم يديهم مساحه ان هم يثقوا فينا ويحكوا لنا على مشاكلهم، ولا هو كده الموضوع انتهى وبابا بالنسبه لي يعني بس بيديني تعليمات؟
I would say ولا ده ولا ده. And that you're doing two extremes. Like, is it too late or is it going to be fine in the future? Neither. It's in between, which is, you're absolutely right. You're 100%. لما بنقضي طول الوقت إنه إحنا we correct. طب أنا لو جيت حكيت أي حاجة I know what I'm going to get. This is a sure thing now. I'm going to get correct. There has to be that connecting. We have to be able to spend the time. Okay, 5 years old, there has to be play. You have to be able to play with them, to enjoy, and you have to help them see that, like, sometimes it's okay. Yes, we brush our teeth every night before we go to sleep. But this one night, okay. It's okay. One out of like 100, right? Not once every 3 days, right? Because this isn't like, we have to teach them a little bit of that flexibility so that it isn't مش عايشين حياتهم في خوف. Oh, if I didn't do this, then there has to be consistency, right? I always teach consistency. But it can't all be correction, because we can't expect. I'm not going to answer that. That's a trap. I'm not falling for it. I would say we can't expect perfection. We can't expect perfection. So it's not from the moment they wake up till the time they get in the car that we need every single thing to be perfect, right? Did you do every single step the right way, the exact way? I told you to brush your teeth, get dressed, and then eat breakfast. You ate breakfast first? No. Like, we have to teach flexibility, because what happens is those kinds of children, they become very rigid. They expect everybody else to do things in a very rigid way. And if you mess up the process, everything falls apart. So we have to teach flexibility with consistency. Yes.
أنا عادة ما بعرفش أسأل، أنا بستمع أكتر، لكن عايز حل لمشكلتي مع ابني. أنا سنسيتيف جدا للأصوات، حتى ميري جابت لي مرة ear plugs one of the solution. وابني very enthusiastic kid و stubborn وsmart، وأنا عارف إن مش ابني الوحيد اللي smart. he's not the smartest kid ever، بس smart جدا وstubborn وعلى طول loud. يعني بنبقى قاعدين والفكرة لما بتيجي من 0 ل 100 مايل بير اور، ده فانا بيشوت مي داون. ما بكونش عايز اسمع هو عايز يقول ايه، لان هو هي شوكد ماي سيستم. هاو كان اي ريسبوند؟ وده على طول.
Does he know this about you?
I told him جيرمايا، لان انا حسيت ان انا كذا مره ان انا بشut him down، فكذا مره بقول جيرمايا I was not trying to shut you down. It's my ears problems. I have sensitive ears. ووريت له الاير بلاجز اللي ميري جابتها لي. قلت له ما تتضايقش مني، لكن يعني بتحصل على طول. نبقى في العربيه دي انا طبعا مش بسمع، وهنا او هنا يعني في مخي. فانا يعني مش عايز ان انا اخسره، ومش عايز يحس ان هو rejected، لان انا مش قادر اسمع له، وعارف ان ده مش السولوشن، بس يعني I need a solution.
I think if you keep reminding him, like أول لما بيبتدي, Jeremiah, remember how I told you that when you are allowed this way, it's hard for Daddy to hear you. It's hard for me to pay attention, to want to listen. It makes it hard for me to want to listen to what you're saying. Take it down. Take your volume down. And you help it. It sounds like he's not very aware of how loud he's being or how close he is. And so you just want to help increase his awareness over time. And that's possible. You can teach that. You can teach awareness by helping him cue into it faster and faster over time. So you let him know, right? Remember, and you can have like a family cue. Bring your volume down. Turn the volume down, right? Yeah, you can have a little cue. Stop. I really want to hear you, but turn the volume down. No, you're letting him know. You pause. I need you to turn the volume so I can hear you, because when you're too loud, I can't hear you. It's okay, as long as you're letting him know why, right? When noises are too loud, it's too much for Daddy. I can't hear you. So bring it down and I'll listen. It's totally okay. Yes.
طيب أنا هكمل سؤال على السؤال اللي قاله إيهاب، لأن أنا معجبة بيه. I have the same. إيه هو سؤال إيهاب؟ أنا هكمل على سؤال إيهاب شوية. حضرتك قلتي في الأول إنه إحنا عينينا بتلقط الحاجة الغلط الأول، فلما بندخل أوضة بنشوف إن هي ميسي، لما بنشوفهم بيعملوا حاجة غلط بنبتدي نقعد نكوركتم، وعلى رأي إيهاب نقعد ندي تعليمات كتير. فأنا عايزة أسأل في الحتة دي، لأنه أنا ملاحظة، أنا هتكلم عن personal experience. لا مهما تقولي لبنتك اعملي كذا اعملي كذا اعملي كذا، طول الوقت انا لاحظت ان انا بقعد اقول شيلي دي من الارض، حطي دي مكانها، لما تاكلي اكل حطي الطبق في مش عارفه ايه، شيلي دي، ما تسيبيش الطبق على السفره، حطيه في المطبخ، ما تقلعيش هدومك وترميها في الارض، علقي ده هنا. طول الوقت عماله اقول تعليمات تعليمات تعليمات. فالملاحظ ان البنت بعد شويه ابتدت مش عايزه تقعد معايا، خلاص بقى يعني عندها حق، يعني هي عايزه تقعد في حته تاني، فبتروح تقعد في اوضتها، فابتديت انا اروح اقعد معاها في اوضتها يعني
في اوضتها
احتلال. لانه انا مش عايزاها تبقى سيباريتد عني، وعايزه اتكلم معاها، وعايزه يعني اهالينا مثلا كنا بنقعد بقى وبنتفرج على فيلم، فيقولوا شوفوا البنت دي عملت كذا كذا، ما يصحش تعمل كذا، لما تكبر هتبقى فاحنا انا عايزه اخد بالي هي بتواتش ايه، هي بتتكلم ازاي، لانه ده بعد كده هي طول الوقت قاعده على التابلت بتتفرج على وات ايفر فيديوز، حتى لو هي مجرد سلايم، عيال بيلعبوا بسلايم وحاجات فيري بريئه، بس برضو انا مش عايزه ان هي تبقى عايشه في عالم متوحد لوحدها. وسيباريتد خالص عننا لانها مش عايزه تسمع التعليمات، فما فيش اي لغه حوار وما فيش اي نقطه تلاقي ما بيننا وما بين اولادنا، لانهم ابتدوا يبعدوا نفسهم عننا وما عادش في اساسا حاجه نبتدي نتكلم فيها مع بعض از فاميلي. وفكرت في النقطه اللي حضرتك قلتي عليها، نلعب معاهم فور 1 اور، بس ما تقدريش تلعبي معاهم 5 6 hours. وبعدين ممكن تقعد شويه تواتش معاها، فممكن هاف ان اور، بس بعد شويه واتشنج سلايم فور هاف ان اور از بورينج جدا للكبير يعني. فطب نعمل ايه بقى عشان نوصل لانه الاولاد يبقوا معانا انفولفد، يبقوا لويال للفاميلي، يبقوا بيفتحوا قلبهم ويتكلموا معانا، واحنا كمان يبقى عندنا الحاجه اللي نعملها معاهم. يعني ايه هي الحاجه دي اللي نقدر نعملها معاهم؟
ممكن برضو to find ways إن هم enjoy. If they enjoy you, they will enjoy the things you do, right? So ممكن like if they really they like spending time with you, they'll come and cook with you. They'll come and fold the laundry with you, or they'll sit on the bed while you fold the laundry. Maybe they don't want to actually fold it, but they at least want to be in your presence. They want to be in your company. So they'll sit on the bed and they'll talk while you fold the laundry. It doesn't always have to be about them and what interests them. But if the relationship, if the connection is there and they enjoy you, they'll want to join you in the things you do. It could be they'll come with you to the grocery store. You have to be enjoyable. Like if your best friend or if your spouse, every time they saw you, they were like, شعرك هنا بايظ، بلوزتك اعدليها، ايه الجزمة اللي انتي لابساها دي؟ You'd be like, oh, أنا مش خارجة معاك. I'm not going anywhere with you ever again. That's not enjoyable. So we have to be sure that we are being enjoyable with them. That doesn't mean, you never correct them, but be moderate, right? Mishabuna, during his sermon, he was talking about like in moderation, right? Not exercise too much, not exercise not at all, but it's moderation. We correct, but sometimes, and I'll tell you, it takes effort. So I might see something, like I saw a napkin and a cup and cleats that were left, okay? And I want to say, as soon as I see it, I need that cleaned up. That's what's really happening, is أنا مش عايزة أشوفها في وشي. I want this cleaned up. And so it's easy for me to say, hey, you left your cup and your napkin and your shoes and clean it up. But I was also paying attention to, her dad just asked her to do something right now. He asked her to do like 3 things. And so I need to take a breath. And does it have to happen right now? No, I can wait. They just walked in the door from school. They just did whatever. I can give them a chance to breathe because I want a chance to breathe. Right? If I come home from work and somebody says, oh, there's dishes in the sink and what are we having for dinner and who did this and do you have my pants? Did you wash those? I don't want to hear that. And so I have to be able to offer that same thing. I give him a moment and then after a little while I can say, hey, by the way, you left your this and your this and your that, please clean it up. So that it's not just correct, and then correct some more. I have to pay attention. Okay, I just said like 3 things. Maybe I can take a break and then tell her the other 3 things later. It doesn't mean I can't say it. It just means pay attention to the timing. So, okay. I think we'll wrap up here. Go ahead. Last one.
Okay. I started realizing the damage اللي حصل during the earlier years من ال criticism وإن أنا كنت hard يعني. ابني بقى hard on himself وبرضه feel guilty as a result يعني of what happened. دلوقتي في awareness وبرضه يعني I hope إن هو it's not too late. هل يعني at 10 years old you can still fix mistakes حصلت في ال early childhood. وبالنسبة للجلط ده لأن أنا I suffer برضه from الجلط فأنا عارفة إن هو painful. It took me years يعني إن أنا أشتغل عليه. فأنا as a result من الجلط مع نفسي طبعا بكريتيسايز فهو بقى يبقى كده برضه بيفيل جلطي لما يغلط ويبقى hard. ازاي يعني احاول اصلح الحتة دي if it's not too late يعني hopefully.
Yeah, it's not 10 years old. I think okay. I think our children really appreciate hearing what our experiences are too. And so if you're able to share, to connect with him on that, you know what? I feel guilty, or here's how I worked through here's how I got better from the guilt that I have, or I know that I criticize a lot. It's because I was criticized a lot. And here's how it hurt me. And I wonder if you feel hurt this way too. And I'm so sorry. That's not what I want. What I want to do instead is this other thing. I want to be able to help you with this or that. And here's what I'm going to work on. Right? So we can correct. We can correct ourselves. We can help them see that correction and see our effort. And if I do that, because I know that that's something, I'm probably going to mess that up again, because I fall into sin, you fall into sin. It's going to happen. But forgive me and remind me gently. Say, Mommy, I don't like when you say that to me. Or, Mommy, can you find another way to, however it is that you want to communicate that. It's never too late, right? There's always time and room to repair and to reconnect. Even if it feels like that connection was broken, you can try to reconnect. So these aren't things to shame you all or make you feel guilty for things that have happened, the things that I discussed, but it's just to help us be more aware and to know how we want to kind of come back around and reconnect, how we want to reroute, right? Your GPS will find you an alternate route. That's all. So, all right. I think we're gonna, right, wrap up? I know. Yeah, there's one more, sure? I don't want to go over your time. I know everyone you have other things after.
في كلمات بسيطة ازاي نعامل أطفالنا in a few words please. يعني كنت عايز كلمات بسيطة ازاي نعامل بيها أطفالنا يعني. زي مثلا البساطة، مثلا نعاملهم بحب، نعاملهم يعني كده يعني. مش عارف هل السؤال يعني مظبوط ولا لا.
I would say نعاملهم بكل ال fruits of the spirit, right? Love, patience, gentleness, goodness, kindness. Those would be the things that we have to keep kind of at the top of our mind. نعاملهم بكل ال fruits ديت. That's how نعامل. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime you can be willing to kind of show them some of that, your willingness, your desire, you're absolutely right. I appreciate you telling me. Thank you for sharing those thoughts. And kids see through us, so don't pretend like you understand either. It's also important to be able to say, wow, I have no idea what that feels like. Can you help me understand more? Like tell me what that was like for you. How did you deal with it? Right? We're so quick to say, I hope you did. I hope ان انت رديتي وعملتي كذا. No, but give them a chance. Ask them. You might be impressed. Ask them first. طب وانت عملتي ايه? How did you handle it? Yeah. Oh, sorry.
هو سؤال يعني انا عايزه افهم بس طبيعه ابني شويه. يعني اما بحب اطلب منه حاجه بطلبها بالعكس. يعني مثلا في مره بقول له اشطف ايدك، يعني اشطف ايدك، لقيته ماسك الصابون وحط وعمل، قلت له انا بس اشطف ايدك. فقلت له انا لو كنت قلت لك امسك الصابون كنت هتقولي لا مش عايزه اعمل كده. فبدا يدرك ويضحك على نفسه. وبعدين بقول له انا ما بقول لك حاجه انت دايما بتعملها بالعكس. يعني مثلا يقلع الماسك اقول له فبقول له ايه ما تنساش تقلع الماسك عشان تتعدي من العيال. فيبدا يسمع كلامه يعني يحط الماسك. فبيقولي انا ما ببقى عايزه اوريكي انك ما تتريقيش عليا وعايزه اوريكي ان بعمل سقه. فما بقتش فاهمه هل ده عند هو بيبقى عند المجرد العند، ولا انا ازاي ممكن اطلب منه الحاجه فيسمع فيها الكلام، ولا انا بطلب الحاجه اوفر بزياده بس يعني ما ببقاش عارفه اتصرف ازاي، بس اي حاجه اطلبها بالعكس فيقوم اعملها.
How old?
7 years.
Okay. It's very smart. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like انتي already فاهمة انك عارفة تجيله من انهي ناحية. It sounds like maybe like a power struggle, right? And then like بتتخانقوا على like who's in control. وعايز يحس ان هو he is in control. يعني مش انت اللي هتسيطري عليه، like هو عايز يحس ان هو بيتسيطر لنفسه. فلما بتقولي حاجة بيعمل عكسها، or هو بيبقى عارف يعمل ايه. just is it possible ان هو already فاهم وعارف و like مش محتاج انك تقولي الحاجات دي، ولا he needs the reminders؟ Acts. He just wants to do the opposite. Yeah. Can he يعني can he share why? Yeah, it sounds like it's more about like control. عايز يحس إنه هو المتسيطر على الموضوع. You can give him, a lot of times with children who struggle with control, it's about giving them proper control. Like how can he feel more in control of things that are okay for him to be in control of, so that you can stay in control of the things that aren't in his hands. So like where are some places that he can have some extra control, or some of those, that freedom that he can have to decide on that order himself. So.
Has a question.
Sorry.
She has a question.
اختاري انت بقى. You choose.
No, and whoever. Go ahead.
طيب okay, so bearing someone's emotions when it's negative is hard on its own. يعني حتى برضو أنا عندي مشكلة دي حتى مع adults. يعني برضو لما حد يقعد complain كتير أو يشتكي كتير أو someone is hurting يعني it's hard إن الواحد absorb emotions and you bear emotions بتاعت someone, especially بقى if someone you really love and it breaks your heart. how do we expand in tolerating and bearing the emotions دي when my son or my daughter is coming to me and she's like falling apart or hurting and without ان هي ما تخلينيش انا ابقى برضو broken معاهم وما ننزلش احنا الاتنين يعني.
Yeah, a lot of times that has to do with like having good emotional boundaries, and like اللي بيحصل اللي قدامي مش بيحصل لي. like I don't have to fall apart, but I can sit with it. I can tolerate hearing that it's happening, and I can understand the other person's pain without it bringing me down. So when you talk about kind of increasing that tolerance, it could be trying to remember, what are you feeling right now? Staying with what am I feeling and what are they feeling? Like we're two different people and they're feeling something and I'm feeling something, and so it can be easier to tolerate. It's like just because you say you're hungry doesn't mean I'm hungry, but I wasn't hungry, and so now I'm eating even though I'm full. Yeah. You do more than unite. You it's called enmeshment. You enmesh with them. And so you have to just take a little bit of an emotional step back, right? Where you remind yourself, like, okay, I am not the one who is depressed. I am okay. I'm actually very happy. I'm happy at work. I'm happy in my family. I'm happy with this. I'm not feeling that, but they are. And so I can hear it, but I'm not in it. Yeah.
طب last question here.
I want to ask about how old the children can be controlled and can accept your instruction without defender, like without stopping you or give you a bad.
How old can they be before they defend?
Yeah, so how old they can listen to you without, like maybe if he passed 12 years old or 13 years old, he can, no, I will not listen to you anymore, and he can leave the house. And
I mean,
so
2 years old. It starts at 2 years
no,
old.
I mean, I start at 2 years old.
Yeah, right. I mean, there are toddlers who will say, "I don't have to listen to you. I'm not going to do what you say. I'm." You know,
Yeah, but you still have a control on him, like if you you can control by enforce him.
So the problem I hear in the sentence is the word control. And it doesn't matter what age the child is. I think that when we have the word control as the primary goal, my goal is to make sure إن أنا متسيطر على الموضوع, that actually drives our children further away, and it drives them to want to take more of the control themselves. So the goal is actually to get rid of the word. This is not about control. Our job is guidance, right? These are actually God's children that He's put under our care. All we're supposed to do is to support and guide and lead down the right path, not control. So we're not trying to force anyone to go down a certain path, but we're trying to guide, we're trying to show, we're trying to support. But the more that we try to use power and control, the more that they will be defensive and the more that they will push back against it, because no one likes feeling controlled, even a 2-year-old. They don't like when you force them to take a nap or when you force them. So imagine then a 13-year-old isn't going to like when you force them to do their homework or when you force them to eat a certain food or force them not to hang out with a certain person. But it really is about showing them that you care, that you want to understand where they're coming from, and that how they feel matters to you, and that you have this additional wisdom that you want to share with them why. So that it's not just about control, no, this is the way we have to go, but look. If we go this way, see how there's an open road, and if we go this way, السكة دي مسدودة. So we want to help them see a little bit of that too, not just you follow me and you know, that's it. Now there's obedience, and we want them to be submissive to a degree of, they have to trust you. You want them to trust you. But we have to build some of that trust too. We can't just assume they're going to give us that trust forever, because that's also why we see that at 12 and 13, right? Because they did trust you and they were doing all of the things, but then at some point we may have lost their trust. And so we have to be willing to be humble enough to look at ourselves. Where did we break that trust, and how do we regain that trust so that they can want to obey and want to choose to follow? I mean, I heard you say you feel like they're capable, but maybe they don't feel like they're capable. And so maybe there has to be a conversation there about why they're so against the suggestions that you have, and why don't they like that idea, or what's the idea that's better. Sometimes they don't want to hear it from us. So the other option is sometimes you give them a project, right? I need you to go find 3 people that have these different types of, that took these different types of majors, that have these different types of jobs, and I want you to interview them and ask them, what do they wish they had done differently? How happy are they with what they did? What were their strengths and weaknesses? So they can hear a little bit from other people. So they can do a little bit of that research that you already know, that you're already aware of, because if they won't hear it from you. It's miserable. But that's not inaccurate, right? Like, doctors have the highest rates of depression and suicide. Like, it's sometimes our kids find the truth, right? And we don't really like the truth that they find. And that can be hard. Sometimes we have to do our own self-reflection too, and figure out why do I really insist on or want a something, whatever that thing is too. But to at least be willing to have a dialogue about it.
ثانك يو سو ماتش دكتوره نيفين، وي ابريشيت خالص. المحاضره كانت رائعه جدا بجد، احنا مش عارفين نشكرك ازاي. انت محاضراتك دايما متميزه، وزي ما انت شايفه الناس بتستمتع بيها، ما تبقاش عايزه تمشي من الكنيسه. فاحنا بس بتسابونا. يتفضل.
ادوني فرصه، مش عارفه يعني الاجتماع
اخطيت يا ابونا،
مش بعرف اعمل اي حاجه الصراحه، ما اعرفش يعني. ادوني فرصه. احنا طبعا بنشكر الدكتوره نيفين، هي مش عايزه الشكرانيه يعني والحاجات ديك، بس انا هي صعبانه عليا قوي. انا سمعت اسئله لغه عربيه فصحى ما اعرفش فهمتها ازاي، انا نفسي ما كنتش فاهم يعني باللغه العربيه ديك. ف يعني كتر خيرها، وانا عارف وقتها ضيق، كمان احنا واخدينها معانا كده 5 دقايق تاني كده مع الكوردينيتور، فهنقضي عليها النهارده خالص يعني. واسئلتكم حلوه، بس خلي بالكم هي قالت حاجه مهمه، وانتوا خلي بالكم من ان لما بتروح للدكتور وقال الولد بيسالوه لو هو عايز يموت نفسه او حاجه زي كده، مش بتتساب الحاجات ديك. يعني الدكتور دون ان يرجع ليك من حقه ان يبلغ 911 ويقول ان الولد عايز، حتى لو سيرابست، حتى لو سايكاتريك، حتى لو دكتور عادي، مجرد بيعمل كوتشنير ديك لو في حاجه ان الولد عنده نيه او فكر بس انه يقتل نفسه، لازم يبلغوا البوليس. صح كده؟
معلش sorry, it's not just لو قالوا كده, because I also don't want anyone to discourage, like, you know, اوعى تقول لحد. So it's not just لو قالوا. So لو قالوا بيفكروا, it's okay, they're not going to call 911. It's when they have a specific plan. So لو قالوا like, yes عايزة أنتحر وبفكر إن أنا آخد 50 حباية والحبايات موجودة في الدولاب بتاع ماما وأنا عارف فين. Like if they have like في خطة, that's when it's. No, لو قال بس هيبلغوا ال parents. But they won't call the police or the hospital. If it's just a thought, because lots of people have thoughts. But if it's, they try to find out like how serious is it. Yes, if they indicate that it's if there's like a real risk or a plan, that's when they will do something.
يعني ما نهملش الحكايه دي. انا مش قصدي ان نخوفكم يعني زي ما قالت نيفين، بس ما نهملش الكلمه دي، ما نستهنش بالكلمه دي. اوكي، ربنا معاكم. شكرا ليها، حاجه بسيطه مقدمينها الاجتماع ليها، حاجه بسيطه لنيفين. ربنا يخليك يا نيفين، شكرا بجد. بس نفسي نيفين توعدنا تيجي سبيرتشوال داي معانا، يعني يوم من اوله لاخره كده عشان نخلص الاسئله دي كلها. لاني انا عارف يوم الاحد هم يعني ار سافرنج مع التايم، كل شويه هنخلص وبتاع. بجد انا عارف ان هي السنه الجايه يمكن ما تقدرش تيجي، بس تفكر تيجي لنا يوم سبت نعمله للبرس، بس تيجوا وناخدها يعني اليوم كله، يعني 2 سيشن مثلا، وبعد كده لان فعلا الموضوع خطير هنا. هو التربيه محتاجه وقت، فتوعدنا تيجي لنا يوم كده نقضيه مع بعض كلنا في الكنيسه، وناخد مواضيع مختلفه معاها ونحضرها معاها. ربنا يعوضها ويبارك في خدمتها، ويبارك فيكم طبعا في الاسئله الجميله اللي انتوا قلتوها. اتفضلوا نصلي. اللهم اجعلنا مستحقين شكر. يا ابانا الذي في السماوات، قدس اسمك ياتي كما في السماء كذلك على الأرض. خبزنا كفنا أعطينا اليوم بالمسيح يسوع ربنا. ولا محبة طلب نعمة الابن الوحيد ربنا مخلصنا يسوع المسيح شركة عطية موهبة تكون مع جميعكم. امضوا بسلام، سلام الرب يكون معكم. انا هاخد نيفين دايركت، محدش يسألها ولا حاجة، بعد ما تخلص انتوا حرين، بس هاخدهم معايا على طول.
تعيش ابونا. بس تنويه سريع، يوم الجمعة الجاي عندنا دراسة الكتاب المقدس مكملينها مع دكتور وديع سفر ملوك الثاني، ويوم الحد اللي جاي معانا دكتورة سوزان هتكلمنا عن المسيح ولابس الوبر. يا ترى ايه الكلام ده؟ مين هو لابس الوبر؟ فنشوفكم يوم الحد الجاي. وبسرعة سريعة الخدام بعد إذنكم، الخدام ثانية واحدة مش أكتر عشان I have to run كمان بليز. الخدام، خدام الهولي فاميلي بعد إذنكم سريعا جدا. أرجوكم الخدام عشان I have to run لاجتماع الكوردينيتورز بعد إذنكم. ثواني. مريم عشان هي عايزة تروح لاجتماع الكوردينيتورز. بليز معلش نركز 5 دقايق بس بليز.